2 years ago, a rock band called Depeche Mode was coming to my home country, Finland. My husband had been a fan of that band for decades, almost as long as I had hated it. But then, my husband's birthday was coming up, so I decided to act unselfishly and buy the tickets for the concert. My husband was happily surprised when the tickets arrived, but in my thoughts, the upcoming concert was like a dark cloud. How can I sit there for 3 hours, listening that horrible, introvert, over-masculine music? However, after the concert, I felt that Depeche Mode was the light of my mundane life. Seeing those guys alive made me think more of their personalities. Being forced to listen to the music above the time limit that I had usually set to myself made me pick fascinating details and put those together. To my own surprise, I had become a fan too. A year ago, when I was browsing the local newspaper Helsingin Sanomat, I saw the face of a beautiful 18th century woman. It was an advertisement of The Marriage of Figaro, a classical opera coming up in the Finnish National Opera. Ever since I was a small child, I had hated opera. I used to say, to go to opera I would need a knitting project to occupy myself. But then, my husband's birthday was coming up again, and I thought, maybe I could give up my resistance if I went to see live opera. It did happen with Depeche Mode, so it could happen with opera too. After the opera, I was inspired. The music was much easier to listen to than what I had expected. But there were other things too. Opera is a big drama, but it's also a visual art form. The last scene reminded me from the 18th century famous oil painting called The Swing. I was hooked. I needed more opera to my life. I began to listen to classical opera pieces. I got to know a great composer, Giacomo Puccini, and went to see his opera La Bohème in the beginning of this year. It was one of the best artful experiences that I have had. I wanted to know more about opera. I subscribe to Finnish National Opera's newsletter. A few weeks ago, I read about a free seminar organized by the Opera House and some other parties. The seminar was about the female mathematician Émilie du Châtelet, who lived in the 18th century. A famous Finnish woman, Kaija Saariaho, had composed a modern opera about her. Now, I had heard that Kaija Saariaho's modern classical music is very difficult to understand. I could never imagine going to her opera. But then the focus of the seminar was in the similarities between art and science. And as an engineer and a visual designer, I have always been interested in that. So I decided to go to the seminar. At the seminar, I got to know interesting background stories about the opera. I found the connections between physics, mathematics, and the opera fascinating. I got to see the composer and hear small pieces of the opera and another piece of her music. I met another participant who said that she has never experienced modern opera before, but now, after the seminar, She's really looking forward to seeing the performance. I was too. I bought the tickets for the opera straight after the seminar, like many others did too. At the moment, while I'm eagerly waiting for next week's performance, I realize that I have got past many of my prejudices. When I look back, I realize that I actually had all the potential of liking opera. I have always enjoyed artistic, powerful experiences, and I have always loved highly finished details. Those were much more important factors than my prejudiced opinion about the music. When you question your capabilities of creating art, think about your journey. It can begin right here, right now. With an open mind, you already possess all the potential. You can start creating a richer inner world by getting out the pens and paper. Also remember that sometimes things that have nothing to do with the end result can be essential for the end result. The one unselfish act to buy the tickets to the rock concert opened a whole new world of opera to me. Little things that you do differently than before can bring new big opportunities and insights.